Hello, this is Steve Ramona, your host for Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I want to thank our sponsors, Infone, and with Infone, you can place your business on everybody's cell phone, turn their business into a web app, and with a click of a button, they'll have access to you 24/7. And also Pantheon.fm. Have you ever thought about monetizing and taking your podcast to the next level? Well, Pantheon can do that. Let us show you how. Reach out to Steve Ramona, the host, at infone.co/SR1, and I will go over with you how you can make your podcast really stand out. Let's enjoy the show. Thanks again, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. This is your host, Steve Ramona, and I am fired up. We were just talking about it earlier. She's a dynamo, rock star. But you know the most important thing besides that? She cares about her clients and her people, and she wants to serve. That's why she's on this podcast. Erin, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Steve. This is awesome.
There we go. See, she's already awesome.
We're already all excited.
Yes. Well, let's start with this phrase we talked about earlier.
Yes.
In marketing, people say one size fits all. Your thoughts?
Makes me absolutely nuts. Here's why. I can go in a lot of different directions, but here's why. The thing I hate most about just do this one thing, and I get it, it's a marketing, I'll say ploy. Let's just, who am I kidding? I'm direct. It's a marketing ploy, and I get it. You've got to market your offer so that people get excited about your offer and buy your offer. That's great. But what happens when small business owners and entrepreneurs buy into a tactic of just do this one thing, just this LinkedIn DM, script, just this podcast pitch form, right? Anything that's one size fits all. What happens is it doesn't take into account your unique business, your unique strengths, your personality, the things you won't do, by the way. It doesn't take into account the things that still scare you, the things that still stop you, the things that you just hate doing. And what happens is you see that it looks like it's working for everyone else. You spend your hard-earned money to purchase it. And then when it doesn't work for you, not only are you out the money, which is usually not that big a deal, but now you feel like a bigger failure than when you started. That's what makes me crazy. It makes people feel worse. Like we're already living in this world where we're comparing our regular day to other people's highlight reels. And you can say you be you and you should know better. Yeah, we should, but that's just not how the brain works. The subconscious brain doesn't care that we should know better. It thinks that we suck when everyone else looks glamorous. And now we've just added evidence to the fact that we suck and everyone else is great.
So what you're saying, if I'm not a big fan of social media for my company, for example, but I love email marketing, don't just do social media because people tell me to do it. Is that kind of
right? Right. Like, and there is certain things, I will say there's certain things you have to have some version of, right? So for example, using your example of social media, pre-COVID, I would have told you social media wasn't that important if you didn't want it to be. But the truth of the matter is that even though you and I have met and we've talked 3 and 4 times, I will go and look at your LinkedIn profile to see if you really are who you told me you are. It's weird, but that is what we all do. So do you need a profile that supports your business? Yes. Do you need to use LinkedIn, using that example, as the way you want to acquire clients if you hate it? No, you don't. You absolutely do not. People use those as excuses to stop or why they're not working, why things aren't working. But I had 30 speaking gigs a year with 0 one-sheets and no sizzle reel. I had a multiple 6-figure business before I finally got my head out of my butt about consistent social media. I had a multiple six figures before I got my head out of my butt about a consistent newsletter or email marketing, because the thing that I'm best at is human beings. So I just stuck in the beginning to what I was best at, which was, for me, networking, because I love people. I'm not scared of people. And I can talk to, as you could probably tell by now, like I can talk to a tree, it really doesn't matter, right? So that's my thing. So my unique business, my unique strengths, start there, and then learn how to do the next piece, build their confidence, learn how to do the next piece, make money, pay someone to do the next piece. Big fan of that. Hire the experts. I don't have to spend a ton of time to do a crappy job at something somebody else can spend a short amount of time to do a good job at doing.
How important is marketing?
It's it. I mean, how important is marketing? Businesses exist to serve clients. Businesses exist to solve problems. Marketing, by definition, is everything you do to create awareness of the fact that your business exists. Without marketing, you don't have a business because no one knows you exist. The type and size business you are wanting to create will determine the type, size, and volume of marketing that you need to do. I'll give you an example of that. I had a client, she had a really cool business, niche business that I could barely explain to you even after working with her, but it was really cool. And somebody had tried to convince her that she needed to be on Instagram. Now, her niche was such that when we did an audit of her last 50 clients, it turned out that 90% of them came from referrals from a certain type of business. That was it. To grow her business, all she needed to do was go to 2 conferences a year, make about 20 or 30 friends, and do a good job at being friends with those people. And we created $1 million business for her that one of them ended up wanting to buy. So marketing, massively important. How you do your marketing needs to be unique. It needs to be customized, is the word that escaped me there. Customized for you.
Yeah. I hear from people, marketing is so hard. What's your response to that?
That's a story you tell. Anytime, like the first thing I want to make sure, words are very important. The last thing I want to be doing is telling myself anything's hard. As soon as you've decided, it's not that marketing is hard, it's that you've decided it's hard. Now, it might not be the thing you're most natural at. To me, building a website's hard. Other people will think it's easy. That's fine. But don't tell yourself something's hard if that story is going to limit your outcome. Crazy example I'll give about why that's so important is I can't stand when we talk about our mindset, our marketing, our calendars needing to be fixed. I just need to fix my marketing. I need to fix my calendar. And the reason I don't like that is, number one, it tells us there's something wrong with us. Nothing good ever comes from feeling like there's something wrong with you and what you're doing. But it also gives you this false sense of solution. There's no solution to the calendar. I promise. I've tried them all. Right? I can promise you the only solution is staying on top of it, understanding it's going to get messed up, and I'm going to have to give my attention back to it. My marketing isn't broken. It just is. I need to optimize it, and then I need to keep track of it so that as the market changes, as my business changes, as my goals change, my marketing can change with it. But if I start to think, well, marketing is hard, or I need to fix my marketing, now I'm looking for an end date when it doesn't matter anymore. And we're just not going to hit that. That's not a thing.
That's interesting. I'm going to pivot because, man, you nailed marketing. You talked about 3 pillars that you work on, which you say are the most important: sales, growth, and marketing. Is there one more important than the other? One they should put first? How do they handle that?
I don't know that it's more important. I think it all has to work in the same direction. A lot of times I look at people's umbrella and it's working against them. It's not cohesive. You'll see, I have a client who has 6 websites. Like, what are we doing? He's amazing at what he does, and he's brilliant. And so what we're doing is creating a cohesiveness in one location so that he can go be brilliant. That being said, if you're fantastic at marketing and can't close a sales conversation, really doesn't matter how great your marketing is if you can't close the deal. So I look at it more as a 3-legged stool, not ducks in a row. It's squirrels at a rave, not ducks in a row. They're only mildly contained on a good day. Let's face it.
So marketing, so there's kind of a flow to this: marketing, sales, growth. One comes before the other, like the chair. You take one leg of the chair.
It's completely interwoven because, like, let's look at strategy for growth. What marketing you're going to choose to utilize is going to be completely dependent on what type of business you're trying to create. So, for example, if you're selling a $97 product and you want to make $1 million, I will tell you networking is not going to work, is not going to be your best option because of the volume you need. And that's like an extreme example, but it's those incongruencies that create friction. And I guess that's, if I had to sum it up for people, where is the friction in your business? Business growth, business scaling, strategy, marketing, sales, team building. I mean, you name it. You want to have it work for you. Find the point of friction and do what you can to remove it.
Let's back up.
How far?
Why did you get into marketing and business coaching?
Oh God,
you're smart. I'm going to say that flat out. You know what the hell you're talking about.
Know what the hell I'm talking
about. Why'd you get into it?
Kicking and screaming and not having another choice. Is that an answer? So I didn't realize I was in it. Here's the thing. I have been with my boyfriend for 10 years and I was halfway through our first date before I knew I was on a date. Okay. This business is not terribly dissimilar from that. I was halfway in it before I realized what I really know how to do is business strategy and marketing. So my big fancy corporate job before I left corporate, and this won't matter to anyone not in the industry because it was a weird job, but I was in charge of business development. So senior vice president of business development for the largest long-term care insurance only wholesaler in the country. It does not fit on a business card. But my job was to put together national and regional relationships between banks, broker-dealers, financial planning groups, and the insurance carriers that we call it manufacture the insurance product. I would put the deals together, hence the sales. And then I would teach the financial planners how to use long-term care insurance in their portfolio, why it was important, how we could help them. So my entire job there was talking to financial planners about a product they hated and how to sell it to people who didn't want to talk about that problem. Brilliant, right? Yeah. That's what I did, right? And so it was business strategy. I got my MBA while I was there. I was, C-suite. So we got that business as a team from, I think it was 4 million when I started, 7 million during our merger to like 56 million and 70 people. And so I learned business strategy in business. And then I got my MBA along the way in marketing and executive leadership to support what I was doing. And when I left that to start my own business, I started out with a franchise. And I got my office to the top 10 out of the 200 firms in about 18 months. And I was networking because, like I said, clearly talking is not the problem. I liked people. And when it was my turn to present at the networking event about my business, everyone was like, yeah, we know you work with families with aging parents, but why are you making money? Like, how are you doing that? Why is it working for you and not for us? And the franchisor would have me speak at their conferences and train their new offices. And then I realized I'm helping all my vendors grow their business. I'm helping all my, right? That's what I know how to do. And at the end of 2017, I closed, sold, dismantled my franchise. And then 2018 was what I, for a long time, was calling Erin's year of failure, because I went from, big fancy 6-figure expense account corporate, top 10 out of 200 franchise, to making $11,000. And I called it Erin's year of failure because I made $11,000 compared to those times. But what I really, through the power of networking and talking to people who understand things differently than I do, it was my year of figuring out, what am I really supposed to be doing? What am I really supposed to be doing? And what I've come to learn is my education is around business. My education is around marketing. My background is in humans. I went to grammar school and high school in the 70s and 80s in Chicago with people from 22 different countries, none of whom spoke English. And so you learn that people are people and you're kids, so you just get along because you want to play together. And I think that really set me up for the interpersonal side of who I am. And then I took a Strength Finders test. And the top 3 are visionary, strategic thinking, and learner. And then I just went, oh, because if you start talking to me about what you're doing, I cannot help but rearrange things, see the gaps, see what you can include, and tell you how to get to where you're going to want to be in 5 years, just because that's how my brain works. Yeah. Now, if you want your ducks in a row, you want automation, you want that, I'm not your person. I'm not your person for that. I have people for that.
So that's the thing. Yeah. And the thing that you're saying, that's awesome. You know your role.
I know my role. I am so clear on what I suck at. I'm so clear at what I suck. Like, seriously, my whole team will tell you I'm very clear on what I am not good. And I don't play in those worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. That, what's interesting is that's what you do with your clients. You help them find their role. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, completely. My favorite thing to do for people right now is, I describe it this way. We're trying to bring business strategy to the entrepreneurial mindset, because it used to mean that entrepreneur was venture capital, and that's how we used to think it. But like the legging ladies kind of screwed up the word entrepreneur. So it doesn't mean the same thing to most people as it did. And so I help my clients get over the bridge from entrepreneur to business owner. And they would love for that bridge to be a pretty stone garden bridge with a stream. But the truth of the matter is that bridge is the Indiana Jones bridge. It's being held together by slats of wood and twine. It's probably on fire. And there's a guy with a sword at the other end. Because people go into business to do what the business does. So they're good at it. And when you first get your ball rolling, you get to do what the business does. Becoming a business owner, completely different animal. It's a completely different animal. And that is what I love to do, is help entrepreneurs who are good at doing a thing become a business owner and own a business that does the thing.
Let's do a shout out before I forget, because we're running out of time here. A ton of nuggets have been sent out. And my audience, I'm sure, is going on the tip of their seat. How can they get a hold of you and find out more?
Find out more. We make it really easy for you. It's all at conqueryourbusiness.com. You just go to conqueryourbusiness.com. You can find me. And the other thing is, you can find a resource there. We call it the Business Growth Profiler. And you can just take the profiler and self-score yourself. Are you launching? Are you leveraging? Or are you leading your business? And what do you do to get through those phases?
Steve Martin says that phrase, younger people won't understand. Crazy people. Well, I'm going to get crazy because we're both crazy. The first 4 people that reach out to you, Erin, I'm going to give them a $20 Amazon gift card.
Oh, awesome.
So
Awesome.
when they
Awesome.
reach out, mention the show, audience, just mention the show or my name. She'll send me your contact info and I'll send you an Amazon gift card.
There are contact forms right on the website. Make it easy at conquerbusiness.com.
There you go. And I want to do that because you could see why you need to meet with her. If you're a startup thinking about a business, reach out to her because those 3 pillars will either make or break you.
Yeah, let's get you started on the right foot.
Yeah.
There's enough inherently difficult with business. We don't need to make it harder than it is.
And family and support are important in our lives. In business, support is so key. My dad said when I was a young kid, don't recreate the wheel.
Oh,
you have the wheel, you've lived it, you've lost it. Go to you and help me because the fractional payment you're going to pay you, the ROI is just going to be, 3, 4, 5, whatever that number is. There's no guarantees, but it's going to grow.
It's going to grow. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Growth is. What is the biggest mistake people make in marketing?
Making it hard and making it about them. Let's just say that your business is not about you. Your business is not about you. Businesses exist to solve problems for clients, which means your business is about your clients. Your marketing is not about you. Your marketing uses you, especially as a thought leader marketing approach, right? Your marketing uses you as an example, but it shouldn't be about you.
I love that because that's what a servant business owner does, or a servant leader. Make it about them. You solve their problem, but it's their problem, not your problem.
Right.
You don't pitch, slap, or beg. You put it out there. And I assure you believe this. If I can't help you, I'll find somebody that will. I'm sure you do that all the time.
6 people who can. Absolutely. Every time. Every time.
How important is that?
To me, it's the most important. Like, I consider giving referrals as a kind of a second business that I own. In my last business, working with families with aging parents, I referred out $6 million in real estate deals.
And you didn't make a penny.
No.
Let's put that.
No, I didn't have a real estate license.
Yeah.
I got a lot of nice lunches and I got referrals back, but I knew my lane, right? Going back to knowing what it is that you do and what your genius zone is and where you play best. I grew my business and I pulled in the right people to help the clients. It's not linear. I don't give Steve a referral, so Steve gives me a referral. There's a bucket in the universe filled with people. And we give into the bucket and the bucket gives back to us. And here's the other thing. It's just so much more fun. The loneliness of my biggest fear, because I come on a very collaborative company when I was in corporate, and I knew me sitting alone in my office is not where I was going to come up with great ideas. And the only way to combat that is to surround yourself with the like-minded people who want, and here's the thing, they're not hard to find. There's millions of them, and they're just waiting to meet you.
Such a great statement. And it's podcast, networking groups, LinkedIn post, live. There's so many nowadays. 30 years ago, that might be a good statement. Today, we have no excuses. Well, audience, I've got to cut the show off because I think I have to bring you back for part 2, if you're willing.
We'll do part 2.
Because this is so good. Please reach out to her. Gift card or not, reach out, because if she can help your business, whether you've started or not, or you're 10 years in and you're struggling, one call won't hurt you, or one email, or whatever it may be. Go to her website and connect. You are a blessing because you care. You're a coach that cares. I know people, coaches care. No, you really care because you give up something to help them if you can't help them. And that's what I love to hear about servant hearts. So God bless. One last thing. So my audience listening, what's a great tip for them that you've learned over the years to help them in their life?
So this is something that I do, and I do it several times a day when I'm hitting a hard time. So this is family, health, finances, business. It works across the board. And it's part of my journaling process. What do you want? It's a couple steps, right? I start out with, what do I want? And most of the times what we want, we can't have because it involves controlling other people. So what do I want? Not what you want other people to do, but what do I actually want? And then I write out, who do I have to be? What do I have to do? And what do I have to believe in order to make that happen? And I will do that over and over and over again. If I'm having problems with families, with my family, what do I have to do? I have to let go. I have to know I'm not responsible for other people. What do I have to do? Who do I have to be? I have to show up. I have to choose not to show up with boundaries, whatever it is. Same thing in my business. You want to grow your business? The biggest shock to me was it's not what you need to do, it's who you need to be. And this exercise really helps hone that in.